This is Caitlin, your host of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast, where we get no sleep and survive on coffee to watch just one more episode at night. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast. We are here with another K-drama review today. As you know, I do crime dramas. I love crime dramas, so it's no surprise that we're reviewing this K-drama today. Naz is back once again. Hi, Naz.
Hi, Caitlin. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Now, you might remember Naz from our Flower of Evil review, and she is now back for the Signal Season 1 review. And like the Flower of Evil review, she also recommended that we do this K-drama, because she, again, has not ever seen this drama before. So thank you for recommending this for sure.
Of course.
So I rewatched this Korean drama, FYI. This is Naz's first time watching this, so that is going to be how we go into this review, if anybody's curious. And also, just in time for season 2, which is probably, hopefully, going to air next year. They say it's going to air next year. Currently
Yay.
in production. Welcome back, Naz. Glad to have you back.
So happy to be here. I'm so excited to talk about this show with you.
I'm very excited to talk about the show with you as well. So, first question up is what we always ask. What are you currently watching other than Signal? Naz?
So currently, I am trying to finish up Our Unwritten Soul.
Mm,
And I'm on episode 7, I think. So hopefully I'll be finishing that within like the next week or so. It's so good. It's so
mm.
beautiful and heartfelt. So yeah, been watching that. And I started The Winning Try as well.
Okay.
So, I like it so far, so we'll see if I, like, keep on watching it, but I plan on, like, completely diving into, like, September ongoing dramas. I've been, like, not been able to, like, keep up with things for most of the year, so, like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm gonna be able to, like, kind of start
Yeah.
getting back into the ongoing dramas again, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah. You and me both. I really haven't been watching ongoing Korean dramas
Yes.
at all this year for various reasons.
Yes, I just haven't had time and, like
This year is an
yeah.
off year for me, for sure. I haven't even watched 30 dramas this year. That's
No,
low.
same. Yeah, I'm like yeah, I don't even wanna say how many dramas I've watched this year because it's like, it's so low. Like, wow, this is really bad. I need to get on it.
Yeah, I hope to watch a couple on-air dramas as well. No promises, but I hope to.
Yeah.
Because also September, I have some dramas that I'm like need to watch for podcast stuff. So it's like,
Yes.
again, a combination. I also still have a ton of stuff I'm still quote unquote watching that are on my current watch
Same.
list.
Same, they're just, like, on ice.
Yeah, yeah. I'm planning on watching Tempest,
Okay.
which is the spy bodyguard one coming to
Yes.
Hulu Disney. I really hope it's a
Yes.
romance. I need a bodyguard romance. If it's not, I
Wait, let me
understand, but
look. Who's
yeah.
in that one again?
That is oh my god, I'm not gonna remember her name. Hold on. Let me look it up really quick. The one from the Blue Sea with Lee Min-ho.
Oh, is it, Ju Ji-hyun?
Yes,
Ju
Joo
Ji-hyun? Yeah,
Ji-hun
okay.
and Kang Dum-won.
Ooh, okay. Oh, this looks good.
Yeah.
Okay. This is September? Okay.
Yeah, she's like a diplomat ambassador person, and he is a mercenary that has a mission and becomes her bodyguard, basically.
I love this. That sounds great. I definitely wanna watch
Yeah,
that one.
yeah. Hopefully, it comes to Hulu on time, or at least somewhat on time.
Hopefully. My gosh, it's one of my pet peeves.
Yeah, I haven't started 12 because I've saw people like, it was meh in the first 2 episodes, so I
Yes,
don't
I've
know.
been seeing that too, and, like, with the description, I was like, "Oh, this sounds really interesting," but then people have been like, there's something missing here." Okay.
Right, right, right.
Give
Yeah,
us
and
more
then the other one
episodes.
I plan to watch, hopefully as it airs, is Queen Mantis, which is also September.
Mm.
That's
Yes.
'cause my boy's in it, so I have to watch
Yes.
him. So,
That's the
Jang
M. Shi Wan
Dun-yoon.
drama, right?
No, it's the Jang Dun no, that's the movie. Im Shi-won
Oh,
is the movie Mantis, and
okay,
this
okay.
is the Jang Dun-yoon K-drama.
Yes, that's your
He's
main guy, you love him.
yes, yes. So he's a cop and his mom is a serial killer, and they have to team up to solve a copycat serial killer, or what they think might be a copycat serial, might be her killing again, don't know.
Oh my gosh, okay, okay.
I think it's based off of a French series, if I'm not
Interesting.
mistaken, but yeah, so
Okay.
That's on Netflix, and Vicky, I think, has also picked it up.
So the movie and the show, they're not
The
related.
movie no, the movie
Okay.
is a spin-off of the Boksoon assassin movie, from a couple years ago.
Got it. Okay, okay.
At least I think it's a
Okay, putting
spin-off.
it
I'm almost
this.
positive it's a spin-off.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, Kill Boksoon, yeah, it's a spin-off of Kill Boksoon, which is
Okay.
a assassin movie from a couple years ago.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
also a
Definitely wanna
Netflix
watch this.
movie, I think.
Queen Mantis sounds really good. Oh, yeah. Oh, Go Hyun Jung is in it. Okay. Now it's all coming together. Got it. This is exciting. I think
Mm,
September's gonna be good. I'm excited.
there's a lot of dramas in September.
Yes.
There's a lot, more than I expected.
Yeah.
At least more than I expected that I would be excited for,
Be
I
interested
should
in.
say.
Exactly.
Yeah, so okay, that's not what we're here for, but anyway. Alright, next question, which I asked in the Flower Evil. Naz, why did you suggest reviewing Signal Season 1?
Yeah, so I, hadn't really dabbled in a lot into crime dramas. Like Caitlin said, Flower of Evil was like my first one. And then I was okay, I definitely want to watch Signal because I know Signal is so loved. I've with every, top K dramas of all time list I've ever seen, Signal is always on there. And I was like, okay, I need to watch this. I need to get this under my belt. So when you're like, oh, I want to do like a crime drama, I was like, okay, like Signal definitely needs to be one of them. So that's why I wanted to watch it. I have no regrets.
Nice. All right. So, if people who have never listened to a review of mine, here's the quick format. I'll introduce the drama. We'll talk about the synopsis and the cast. Then we'll give our overall non spoiler review of it. And then we go into spoiler territory and deep dive into this. So, intro to Signal Season 1. This aired on January 22nd to March 12th of 2016. The quick synopsis, which I pulled directly from MDL. 15 years ago, a young girl was kidnapped on the way from school. Park Hae Young, who is played by Lee Jae Hoon, was an elementary school student at the time and he witnessed the crime. A few days later, the girl was found dead and the police were not able to find the culprit. At that point, he started to distrust the police. 15 years later, he is now a police officer and a criminal profiler. And one day he finds a walkie talkie that allows him to get in contact with Detective EJ Han, who is in the past. And he teams up with EJ Han along with his, what do you say, captain,
Hmm.
partner, I think boss like person, played by Kim Hae Soo, to solve cold cases. So they basically become the cold case unit. So this is directed by Kim Won Suk. You might know some of his works: Misang, My Mister, When Life Gives You Tangerines. He has done some very prolific
Yes.
K-dramas. The screenwriter for this is a extremely famous K-drama writer. She did Kingdom both seasons, Revenant, of course Signal, and of course is now writing Signal season 2 because people have been asking her for it for 10 years at this point. um and then the main roles we have EJ Hoon, who you might know from Taxi Driver, Move to Heaven, Hot Stove League, Signal, of course. Kim Hae Soo plays his partner slash boss slash captain. She was known for Under the Queen's Umbrella, is a well known K drama. Hyena, Juvenile Justice, one of my personal favorites. And
Mm.
then we have Jo Jin Wong. He is more known for his movies. He has not done a ton of K dramas, but he's a very prolific movie actor. One of his most famous movies is the iconic Korean movie The Handmaiden. He also has done K dramas like Tree with Deep Roots, which he is very well known for, and No Way Out Roulette, which came out last year, 2024. Yeah, last year. So those are our main leads. So Naz, have you seen any of these people, or is this your first introduction?
I've seen EJ Hoon a few times. Move to Heaven is one of my favorite dramas of all time. But yeah, it was my first time seeing Kim K Soo, which is so embarrassing because she's such an
Oh, it's
amazing
not
actress.
embarrassing. This is a good introduction to her, of course.
I know, but I'm like such a big fan of her now. And I'm pretty sure I've seen Jo Jung Woong around. I just can't put my finger on it. But
Mm,
I know that he existed, but but it's like this is my first time seeing him like in something. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not a movie watcher, you might not know him because he
Hmm.
hasn't done a drama other than No Way Out Roulette. He hadn't done a drama in a while.
Okay.
He's been doing movies a lot more than dramas. Obviously, he's gonna be back for season 2.
So exciting.
Signal has a large support cast, but we'll just go to some of the more well-known, frequently seen people. We
Mm.
have Kim Won-hae, which I'm sure is like everybody knows him at this point.
Yes.
If he's in a drama, you need to watch it, basically,
Yeah.
at this point. Some of his more well-known dramas are Strong Woman Do Bun Soon, While You Were Sleeping, and he was recently in the Trauma Code from this year.
Mhm.
Lee Yu Jun, you might know him from What's Wrong with Secretary Kim. He was in Taxi Driver season 1, and then recently My Sweet Mobster, he had a support role.
Oh, yes.
Jang Hyun-sung, which you might know him again, he's been acting for a really long time. Most of these people in Signal has been acting for a really long time because 'cause they're
Yeah.
older actors, veteran actors,
Mm.
that type of thing. He was also in Under the Queen's Umbrella, Flex X Cop, and then from this year, he was in The Art of Negotiation as, like, the boss dude. Jung Hae Kyun, he was in Love in the Moonlight, Navalera, and then Save Me as some of his more well-known roles. Jung Han Bi is the forensics examiner, the coroner that we keep seeing in Signal.
Mhm.
She has not acted since 2017 when she had a guest role in Tunnel. And
Mhm.
so it was like Signal, My Lawyer, Mr. Joe, and then Tunnel. And she hasn't really done anything beyond that. So,
Wow.
Kim Min Goo, baby Kim Min Goo in
Yes,
Signal.
baby boy. Yeah.
You obviously know him from Business Proposal. He was the second lead, and then Snowdrop, he also had a very major role in that. Chani plays, Lee Joon-gi or Lee Joon-gi, oh my god, I always do that. I always give him Lee Joon-gi, whatever. Lee Jae-hoon, he plays Lee Jae-hoon's brother and, like, younger self in Signal. You might know him from SF9, he's the member of
Mhm.
that K-pop group. He also was a child actor, so he's been acting forever. He was also in Under the Queen's Umbrella, and he also has a prominent role in, Sky Castle, for example. And
Mhm.
then lastly, we have Lee Moon-soo. He played the father of Jo Jin-won, his character. He did roles in Rookie Cops and Ghost Doctor, to name a few. So, any comment on any of these support characters?
Love the support characters. Like you said, I've seen them a lot in other dramas. They're kind of like staples in K-drama, so I've seen
Yeah,
most of them a lot. So it was nice to see all the familiar faces in the show because I had no idea a lot of them were in the show to begin with. So I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know you,
yeah,
I know you." So it was great, especially Kim Won-hae. I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's literally everywhere."
he is. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and this is just touching on the support characters, like, there's some one-off cases that you definitely have support characters pop
Yes,
up for, like, 2 episodes, and you're like, "Oh, I forgot he was in this at all."
exactly.
That
Yeah.
happened to me multiple times. You want the full list, you can go to MDL and check that out. You will obviously recognize a lot of people in this. That was the cast, we got the synopsis in. Obviously, this being your first time watching it, you will probably be answering first on most of these things. What is your overall review of Signal season 1?
Oh, man. Oh, where do I begin? I think from the very beginning, I was enthralled with the show. I love Law& and Order SVU. It's my favorite show, and this show reminded me so much of Law& and Order SVU, not only with, like, the cases, but the relationship between the cops and how, you start with the case, and throughout that episode or the series of episodes where that case is being covered, it evolves. Like, you think it's gonna end up one way, but it ends up kind of evolving and turning into something else, and that's how a lot of the cases those are some of my favorite episodes in SVU when it's like you think you figured it out, and it's like, "Oh, no, there's so much more." And so I really, really liked that. I think the characters all had really great chemistry with each other. The acting performances were incredible. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, and I think the concept of the show with, like, the crime, but also we have some kind of time travel, like, magical realism elements to the show, just made it very interesting, and I loved every moment of it. I was obsessed. I already wanna watch it again even though I just finished it because I just loved it so much.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
yeah, I literally have no complaints. It was an excellent show. I understand why this is a favorite for so many people. It's
Right.
amazing.
It's a classic. Yeah, and I completely agree with everything you said. So I watched this in 2016, 2017.
Oh, okay. So close to when it originally came out.
Yeah. I didn't watch it as it aired because I was
Mhm.
still in Peace Corps at the time, so I didn't have
Mhm.
access to it, but, like, it was one of the first I watched when I got out.
Yeah.
So I had not rewatched it since then. I had
Wow.
forgotten a lot of, like, the small details, like, the overarching stuff I remembered of
Yes.
it, but, like, I was like I was saying, "Oh my god, this dude's in it, I completely forgot that." Or, "Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot this section," or whatever. So, yeah, I had never I've rewatched, like, scenes and obviously, but not a full rewatch like I did this time. And so, I remember I just, like, watched this because of the hype I saw from when it was
Mhm.
airing.
Mhm.
Um and I was like, "Okay, this is one of the first ones I will need to find when I get back to the States and have access to Asian dramas." So I watched this, and then I think I watched, like, Goblin, like,
Oh,
right away.
yes.
So, I think this was on Drama Fever. I know Goblin was, because that's the reason why I bought Drama Fever is because I wanted to binge Goblin in, like, 4 days. So, RIP Drama Fever, but,
Oh my
that's
god.
I think that's where I also watched this one. But anyway, that's beside the point. I rated this a 9 out of 10 when
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
originally watched it, mainly due to the ending because I was so
Yeah.
pissed off. Um, and it was a little confusing for first-time watchers on, like, how the timelines worked
Yes.
and the going back and forth between multiple time periods could get confusing.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, as a first-time watcher, you would have to really pay attention to that, and I would agree, you still do.
Yes. Yes.
During the rewatch, I did bump my rating up to 9.5. It's like a nearly perfect K-drama for me at
Yes.
this point,
Yes. Yes.
mainly due to the fact that I knew what was happening, so I wasn't as confused the first time.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but yeah, with that ending, again, I don't think I said this to you when we were recording, but can you imagine waiting 10 years with
I
that?
can't imagine waiting. I was shook at the end because I was like, what do you I was like, "What do you mean?" And I kept checking how much time was left, and I was like, "No, no, that's not what's happening here." I couldn't believe it, but, like you said, like, I think I'd give it a 9.5 as well. Like, I think it's perfect, but I think for me, the ending, I was like, "Okay, I'll accept a cliffhanger. That's fine." It
Mhm.
raises the stakes, but, like, I think for me, the timelines definitely do get a little because there were some things that I just had to be like, "You know what? I don't understand it. I'm just gonna accept that." Because for some
Right,
things, I was like, "I don't know if I understand exactly how this was reversed or, how
right,
was this undone?" But I'm like, "I'm not gonna, like, spend too much time thinking about it. Let me just enjoy the show." But I
right.
definitely can agree, like, I definitely got a little lost there, but I
Yeah,
would wanna watch it again and see if I can, like, grasp it if I watch it a second time. But yeah,
right.
that's a good point.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we are going to dive into the spoiler part of it shortly. I have a couple things to talk about before that. So we'll do that first. First off, we'll talk about some fun facts that we have about Signal. Um,
Okay.
I have not 100% confirmed this, but I've heard multiple sources say this that Signal was actually loosely based off of the American movie Frequency
Mm.
from the 90s, I think, early 2000s with
Yeah,
Dennis
because I saw
Quaid.
Dennis Quaid and I
Um,
was like, that had to be a
yeah,
little older.
yeah, I wanna say it was the '90s. The sources I found, they basically took the walkie-talkie part of it from that. So
Okay.
it's not like it still is a crime movie. They are investigating a serial killer in the movie, but, like and it's from what I remember from the, like, short synopsis I read about the movie, Dennis Quaid is a cop, and his son gets a hold of a walkie-talkie, and they have conversations through the time periods to catch a serial killer. But
Yeah.
that's pretty much all that is, like, the same as Signal. So, it's just apparently loosely based off of this. I couldn't 100% confirm that, I just saw a couple articles say that that was the case, so I decided to put it in here. If anybody knows 100% can confirm that, please let me know. But, on the other hand, there has been many, many, many remakes of this K-drama. We have a J-drama, which is quite famous within itself. We have
Oh,
a movie sequel for the J-drama. We have a C-drama, a Thai remake that I think came out, like, last year, and an Indian remake.
and they're all just called Signal as well?
Some of them not so much. I mean, the Thai
Okay.
one I think is, like, 23 or something like that, and the
Okay.
C-drama definitely has a different name. And then there's a couple American shows that are based off of this.
Mm.
For example, there's definitely a show called Frequency that came out on the CW in, like, the 2000s that are based
Of
off this
course it was
through a
on the
radio, though.
CW.
So, there's many, many, many remakes of this, which you know why, because it's, like, extremely popular.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a somewhat of a cold, I apologize.
You're fine.
Ugh. Alright, so at the time now it kind of doesn't look good, but, like, at the time that this was airing, the viewership percentage on the cable TV was 12%. That was the peak of its airing,
Mhm.
which was pretty good for that time, like, really
Yeah.
good for that time, especially for a crime drama. Like, romance probably could get higher than that, but, like, for a
Yeah.
crime drama to reach 12.5% at its peak was great.
Yeah.
For context, World of the Married is the highest rated peak in cable news history or cable
Mhm.
network history. They reached 28.4, and that aired in 2020, 2021, something like that.
Yeah. I think it's a 2020, yeah.
Sky Castle is really high with 23.7, and then we have Goblin, which aired around the same time. That
Yeah.
hit 18.6, so that can
Mhm.
give you some context. As you can see, like, World of the Married was, like, a cheating love one with some crime in
Yeah.
it. Goblin definitely was a romance, and Sky Castle was, like, a family high stakes education thing, if you guys have never
Mhm.
seen these dramas. 12% for Signal was pretty good for the time. It's not
Yeah.
comparatively now, it's not because a lot of dramas beat that, but,
Mhm.
like, Queen of Tears beat it by double digits.
Yeah.
Just yeah. So that's the rating that it was. At the time, it was one of the highest rating in cable history. It won the Best Drama in the Baeksang, the 5th Baeksang Awards. Kim Hae-soo won the Best Actress award at that same award show, and then Kim Moon-hee, who is the screenwriter, won the Best Screenplay at the Baeksangs for this as well.
Wow, well deserved. That's amazing. I can see why.
And of course, as we've said, it is finally getting a season 2 in 2026.
Yay.
After 10 years, exactly 10 years, is getting a season 2. Alright, so a little explanation that I thought was relevant. So this entire show is about cold cases. So the
Mhm.
the whole show is we have the 3 trio cops. They become a unit in a cold case, and they investigate some of the real crimes that they encounter in Korean crime history. Just a little side note, there was a statute of limitations up until 2016 on murder, which is
Mm.
not common. Like, US has that was done away with a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, South Korea removed the statute of limitations on murder in 2015, which led to them being able to reinvestigate a bunch of these old cases that they couldn't prosecute on anymore.
Hmm.
So at the time, they had a 25-year statute limitations limit. And originally, it was 15 years, but that got extended to 25 in 2007. And then
Hmm.
in 2016, it was done away with at all. So there's no statute of limitations now in South Korea on cold cases, on murder cases.
Mhm.
So it didn't retroactively fit though a bunch of the crimes. So there's some crimes that will never be able to be prosecuted because that
Yeah.
didn't retroactively fit. Murder cases that occurred in the early 2000s uh, could not be prosecuted.
Mm.
Um, and it does not apply to second degree murder, manslaughter, any kind of death by resulting from accidents, that type of thing. And this all became relevant because a lot of people in the public were yelling at them to get rid of it. And they finally did. Yeah. So that I just wanted to make that clear because like they made multiple references in Signal of like the statute of limitations were done.
Yeah.
We can't prosecute, we can't do anything. That is why. Because when this aired, it hadn't happened yet where the statute of limitations had been lifted. Because I think it was lifted in July of that year, maybe
Yeah.
August, something like that.
Oh,
And this
wow.
aired in January and obviously was written prior to that. So,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. And some people even claim that like Signal may have helped with that because
Yeah.
they actually, as we will see and I'll talk about, they actually reference a lot of crime cases, like actual real crime cases in this K-drama. So some people do claim that that was one of the reasons why people started to call up the prosecution to say, hey, we actually do need to do like lift this.
Yeah.
Just wanted to point that out. Let's dive into it. FYI for people who are listening. As I just said, we are going to be talking about murder cases, sexual assault cases, that type of thing. I'm not going to be as descriptive as like a crime podcast,
Yeah.
but we will be talking about stuff. So if that is
Mhm.
something you cannot hear, like I'm not going to be talking about like wounds and like what weapons go where and what body part went where, whatever, but I will be talking about criminal cases. So along like in Signal itself, but also with the real life case. So if you guys cannot handle that description, please do not continue listening because it is a very detailed drama description, crime, whatever. Just FYI. So, this is your spoiler warning. We are going to get into Signal. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, a lot of details. So, if you don't want spoilers, please don't continue listening because we are going to deep dive into this and spoil basically everything. So, yeah. Anything more you want to say before we dive in, Das?
No, I don't think so. Let's get into it. I'm excited.
Okay, cool. All right. So, I feel like we can just like go through the episodes.
Mhm.
And then, like, as we go through, we'll talk about the crimes, we'll talk about what happened.
Yeah.
If we don't have to go, like, super linear if we don't want to, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so this opens up, obviously, with the first crime, which is the girl going missing from elementary school. That is actually based off a real life case
Wow.
from the let me find it, 2009. Oh, wait,
Mm.
no, sorry. There was a case before that, sorry. In 1997, that is the
Oh.
case. So this is known as it's a really long name because she had a really unique name,
Mhm.
Park Chorong Bitnati kidnapping and murder case.
Wow.
Yeah. So she had a really unique name, which made this stand out. Her first name was Bitnati or Nadi for short. Apparently, in real life, the kidnapping happened in 97 and she was 8 years old. She was abducted at her school and then led to an apartment building. And then the person who kidnapped her called her parents and asked for a ransom, just like they did in the Korean drama, and led them to a cafe, just like the Korean drama. And then they found out that the person who kidnapped her had already killed the child.
Oh my
And
gosh.
um, was led on this kind of like police chase, just like the Signal case. And it was discovered that basically it was a woman who was pregnant, like 8 months pregnant or something.
She was pregnant?
Pregnant, yeah, yeah. This whole thing where her father reported to them that she was the culprit and she got arrested 8 months pregnant. She was 8 months pregnant at the time she was arrested. And then they found the child's body on September 12th. So she was kidnapped on August 30th. They found the body in September 12th. So about 2 weeks later.
Oh my gosh.
And they've tried to find accomplices. Her husband and her mother might have been accomplices, but that can never be proven. So she was the only one that was convicted of the kidnapping and the murder. And she was sentenced to life in prison. And so this is a very famous kidnapping murder case because there was a lot of questions on like it was a woman kidnapper, which was very rare at the time and
Right.
is still somewhat rare.
Mhm.
Um, and there was a lot of conversations of like, could pregnancy have done something and blah 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 and a lot of stuff. I don't want to go into too much detail because obviously like that is not something I've done extensive research on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this first case in Signal was based off of that case.
Oh my gosh.
And so that is the first real case. And so in Signal, that was where we opened up to EJ Hoon's character witnessed this, and
Mhm.
he never said anything. He attempted to, no one listened,
Mhm.
and he kind of had to live with that guilt for the rest of his life. He was also in elementary school, and then he became a cop later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Oh.
what was your thought of this first case?
Yeah, the first one was devastating. Oh, yeah, it was really devastating because first you could see, um, Lee Jae-hoon's character carrying around this guilt because not only did he witness it, but the situation was they were both standing outside the school and the little girl didn't have an umbrella and all the kids are being picked up by their moms with umbrellas. And he had an umbrella and like the little girl looked at him and he like hid his umbrella. So I think like he's like, oh, like if I gave her my umbrella that day, like maybe that woman wouldn't have taken her away, all this stuff. And then he keeps trying to go to the police station and tell them like it was a woman that took her away. It was a woman because the police thought it was this man that had taken her.
Right.
And they had his picture plastered all over the town and stuff like that. And we're like, no, 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 like it was a woman, but no one would listen to him. And it's really sad because you would see her mom like out in the town square with a picture of her daughter. It was probably like 10 years of her just like standing on the same street corner with her daughter's picture. Like,
Right.
I want justice for my daughter. And it was just so heartbreaking to see what had actually happened. Like she had gotten murdered, and because of the statute of limitations, like nothing could be done at least at that point until the law had changed and then they were actually able to like, charge the person, but and find out
Mhm.
what happened and who did it. But oh man, that one was really hard. I remember I was tearing up when they had found the woman that did it and they're like, "Oh, so like is this woman going to be charged with my child's murder?" And they're just like, "I'm sorry, like because of the laws, like there she actually can't be charged with the murder." And but they're able to charge her with the murder of the guy that they had originally thought killed the little girl, because that lady ended up
Right.
killing him too. So that's
Right.
essentially what she was going to jail for. And the woman
Mhm.
was just lamenting because she's just like, "But what about my child? Like, what about justice for
Right.
my child?" So, it was so heavy, but the episode was just so well done. It just pulls you in immediately. You can't
Right.
just like watch that and be like, "Okay, it's the show's just fine." Like, no, it was from the first episode. It was just so well done. But yeah, it was very
Yeah.
devastating.
Right, yeah, and then this case is obviously the first time you see kind of like the corruption that is happening within the police department and police organization
Yes.
in total, which is one, a trope of crime dramas all the time because Korea has a
Mhm.
huge history of corruption and they um use that as a plot device in a lot of their crime dramas, but also use it as a way of like, we need to do better. We hate like they hate corruption, like any type of
Mhm.
corruption. So due to their history, which is understandable,
Yeah.
so you see a lot of that when it comes to crime dramas and tropes of that. That's a major crime drama trope. And also, this first case is the introduction of at least our two people in the present day teaming up
Yeah.
type situation, which again is kind of a trope of you have a hothead and then an older cop. I mean, Kim Hae Soo is not, she's older, but like she's not like a gruffy man cop that you would
Right.
see like in that trope really. But what did you think of their first meeting, pairing, work
Yeah, I was just
chemistry,
like
I should say?
yeah, I was like, "This is gonna be interesting," because they definitely were
Mm,
butting heads a lot in the beginning. Because he's very passionate and he's like, "This is what's happening, you guys need to listen to me," like, and, like, they're just like, "Okay, like, what are you saying? What's going on? Like, let's talk about it," but you could tell that he was ruffling some feathers because they were all just kinda
mhm,
thrown together because they were like, "Okay, well," like, they changed the law, so they lifted the statutes of limitations, so then they're like, "Okay, well, we'll create this cold case team." So then, they were thrown together with some other cops, with this team. So they're all just trying to work together. And you could tell that Kim Hae-soo's character was like not feeling him at first because she's just like, what is with this guy? And with him, he's just kind of like, he's starting to get these like messages on the radio and he's like, okay, like what's going on? And so he's trying to figure that out too. But yeah, it was definitely a little tense in the beginning. And I was just like, I wonder if they're constantly going to be at odds the whole show. Or are they
mm,
eventually going to
right,
become friends? I was like, I don't think it's gonna ever become romantic. Not getting that
mhm.
vibe, but I was just like, are they gonna form a friendship? Like, what's gonna happen? So it kept me kind of on my toes a little bit, but it was definitely rough in the beginning for them.
Right. Yeah, and then also it's just like you throw in the fact that EJ Hoon's character did not trust the cops at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll talk about later why, but like he had a good reason why, but like
Yeah.
he became a cop but didn't trust any of them.
Mhm.
So that also played a factor of like he was a hothead, thought he was the shit, and but
Yeah.
also did not trust anybody. But then also he
Right.
was a profiler,
Mhm.
which to this day, some people don't really agree with. Some people do. It depends on the time period, depends on the country. Korea has a history of not trusting them. As you can see, there's a K-drama called Through the Darkness. Through the Darkness is the true story establishment of the first profiling team in Korea. And so it got better in the terms of 2016 because I think it was established in like the 90s.
Mhm.
But you can see there's some old school cops that still don't believe in that type of stuff. Like, there's a lot of friction when it comes to generational cops and stuff, which again is a trope when
Interesting.
it comes to crime dramas.
Right.
But if you wanna see a establishment of a profiling team, Through the Darkness is really good.
Through the Darkness,
And that
okay.
actually also talks about real life crimes as well in
Okay.
Korea. We can watch it if you
Yeah, 'cause that sounds really interesting.
yeah, it has, Kim Nam-gil in it. He plays the
Oh,
profiler
okay.
guy. Really good.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this case was also when he found the radio as well.
Yes. Yes.
The time travel is not necessarily time travel in Signal. It is
Mhm.
more of, like, they stay put in their time period, but their
Yeah.
conversations are through time, through this
Yes.
walkie-talkie, and so the first conversation that Lee Jae-hoon gets is one that the cop in the past already knows him and already
Yes.
knows who he is and what he's talking about. Lee Jae-hoon had never talked to this dude before, so, like,
Right.
past cop is like, "Hey, are you there? Like, can you hear me? I'm at this place you told me to go to." And Lee Jae-hoon's like, "I don't know who you are. I don't
It's like,
know what
"What?"
like, what are you doing?" Um, and that leads us into another case that they have to investigate because, the past cop is at this closed down at the time, I think it's still closed down mental hospital and finds a
Yeah.
body there. And Lee
Yeah.
Jae-hoon goes there and finds also the body because this is where it kind of like you start to see that they might be able to change the past. At the first, before the walkie-talkie, that body was
Mhm.
never found. So Lee
Right.
Jae-hoon was the first to find it. And then back in the day, now that he knows to go look for it, our past cop actually finds the body back in the day in like the 90s. Yeah.
It was a great start.
It was a great start, yeah, and so it kind of also introduces, like, the dynamic of them getting to the past cop and Lee Jae-hoon's character getting to know each other and getting to know their work dynamic, but then we also have the introduction of Kim Hae-soo and her
Yeah.
work dynamic with Lee Jae-hoon's character. Alright, so those are the couple first 2 episodes or so. Speaking of the body in the mental hospital sewer
Yeah.
situation, that also was actually based off of an actual case, called Ochang Manhole Unnatural Death Case. In
Okay.
2009, a hiker discovered a manhole covered with a mat on a hillside, and on top of the mat there were stones, and a rope was tied to the manhole cover, and a man in his 40s was hanging from the rope by his neck,
Oh
and then
my
the wrists were
gosh.
bound behind his back, so it was proven it was not a suicide, obviously, due to the
Right.
wrists.
Right.
They discovered that he was a missing person, a CEO of a small business, which led to a bunch of people believing it was a suicide case. And it was concluded to be a suicide case. And that was the conclusion on the report. Obviously, a lot of people still have questions on if it actually was a suicide. It still is unsolved as far as I know. So that
But
was based off of that case.
that's literally not possible, especially because the mat
Right.
and the stones on top of the
Right.
manhole, like, that's not
Yes.
possible.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, "Okay, let's just leave this the way it is."
Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, that there's a lot of questions with that one, of course. Yeah. So the thing is too with this cold case unit, and again with the profiling, with the a bunch of things,
Mhm.
I think a lot of friction with this cold case unit being discovered, being or not discovered, being created, was the police were essentially admitting that they might have investigated wrongly, not investigated well,
Yes.
arrested the wrong guy, depending on the case.
Mhm.
And a lot of
Mhm.
people did not want this cold case unit to be created
Mhm.
because of that. If they solved any of these cases, it would prove that there was like shoddy police work at the time it was being
Exactly.
investigated, or corruption maybe, as we find down the
Mhm.
line, or
Mhm.
a lot of those things. So they had a uphill battle, to say the least, when it came
Absolutely.
to the cold case unit.
Yeah.
And that is I think that's That's a common thought process when anybody creates a cold case unit. I think
Yeah.
that's everybody's
Yeah.
common thought process. It's
Yeah.
not Korea precisely itself, but, I mean, Korea does have a thing where, like, they have to have perfection when it comes to political people, city official people, that type of thing, due to their idea of corruption and things like that. So
Mhm.
if they have to admit that that was an issue
Mhm.
and they didn't discover something, they didn't investigate something thoroughly, obviously that would make the police force look bad.
Yes.
So there are a lot of
Yes.
friction with that as well.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So that led to um, the investigation of that case
Yep.
of the guy in the manhole.
Yes.
Do you have any comments on that case at all?
The guy in the manhole was the guy that was falsely accused of killing
Right,
the girl, right? Yeah, so the woman that actually murdered the little girl, she had murdered that guy and then threw him into the manhole. So that's how she
right.
was able to get implicated for that crime. But yeah, it
Yeah.
I really appreciated how the whole thing was handled because like I said, it's like you think it's kind of like this straightforward cookie cutter situation
Mhm.
with the kidnapping and the murder of the little girl. But then because of that case, it was able to evolve and then we see another murder as well, and that's the murder that leads us to the woman, the kidnapper. So I really liked how they kind of like it was kind of like a 2 in 1. So I think that they did a really good job with that. But yeah, it was the twists and turns with that one were like crazy. It was yeah, it
Right.
was really good. It was really, really good.
Right, because letting the discovery of this body also led them to discover the woman too, because
Mhm.
they found the connection of her being a nurse and
Yep.
previously had worked in that area or in that hospital, that type of thing.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think all of these cases in general are very well written
Yes.
in terms of connections and when they deliver clues and everything like that. And then also in episode 2, we find out that Kim Hae-soo's character actually knew Past Cop and worked with
Yes.
him extensively. So that was a nice little treat. So, what did you think of them 2 together?
I thought it was
Uh,
brilliant that how she actually worked with him in the past, and we see her as, like, a rookie cop, and it's very interesting because, present day, Soo-hyun, she's, like, very kind of stern, and you can tell her name is Soo-hyun, right? I hope I didn't make that up. Let me look again. Oh, yes, Soo-hyun, yes, Soo-hyun. So, she's very stern, like, she's pretty cold, no nonsense, but you see her when she's encountering Jaehan, like, when she's working with him, when she's, like, a rookie cop, like, she's just starting out. She's excited, she's, like, a little timid, but
First
she's
woman
so
at the station,
yes,
like
the only woman at the station, and she's, like, kinda timid, she's trying to find her bearings but just, like, really, like she was really, like, sweet and soft, so it was really interesting to see, like, how she had kind of changed over the years, and it caused me to ask, I wonder what happened to her, like, in the in-between that, like, caused her to become the person she is today, and you learn so much about her over the course of the show, but I was really intrigued with their dynamic when I first started the show because you could tell even from the beginning that she, like, looked up to him so much. And I was just
yeah,
like, I was like, I feel something here. What's going on? So I was very intrigued, like, when we get those, like, brief flashes in the beginning of, like, them working together.
right, yeah, yeah, she fell hard and did not let go for
Yeah.
forever, forever.
Right.
He was a little more complicated, but she definitely
Absolutely.
it was love at first sight for her,
It really
for
was.
sure.
It really was, and it's like, to see her in the present day, and I'm like, wow, like, she's, like, in the past, like, literally falling head over heels for him, like, immediately, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, so innocent." So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it was really interesting to see.
Okay, so then we get to episodes 3 and 4, and that
Yeah.
is where we have probably the most infamous crime case in Korea portrayed in these.
Yeah.
So 3 and 4, we have a case that Jaehan investigates himself, and it is based off of a serial murder case, very infamous serial murder case called the Hwasong serial murders. In the show, it's I'm gonna butcher this name, Gyeonggi Nambu
Mhm.
is the show's name of it.
Mhm.
So Hwasong serial murders was a serial case that happened from 1986 to 1991
Mhm.
where 10 women were murdered in Hwasan City. All victims were found bound by their own clothes, showing that the victims were raped, but the DNA technology at the time was not sophisticated enough to identify the perpetrator. The 8th victim, who was 14, died on 1988,
Oh,
September, and a strand of hair that did not belong to her was found. That strand of hair led to the arrest of Yunmo, who was 22 at the time. Due to lack of evidence, he was released, and then in 1988, a sketch of criminal was released, and that sketch was based off of the bus driver and his description, supposedly riding with one of the victims. And the sketch is also based off of a rape and attempted murder victim that was saved before they died, or before she
wow.
could die. The criminal at the time, the description, he was in his 20s, 165 to 170, no double
Mhm.
eyelids, an oval face, a prominent nose, soft hands. They speculated that they had lived near the city of Suwon. Here's the stats. 1.8 million police officers worked on this case,
1.8.
and around 300 people were investigated. All were cleared, usually for lack of evidence. 15 years passed without anybody. The list of victims, as I said, ranged from 1981 to 1991. In 20, no, in what was it? It was 2019. They finally caught the guy.
2019?
He, uh, in 2019, person was identified as a suspect. He was identified through the DNA found on one of the victims. And also, through his DNA, he was linked to 4 of the other unsolved serial murders. At the time he was identified as the suspect, he was already serving a life sentence for the rape and murder of his sister-in-law.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So in 2019, the police announced that he had confessed to killing 14 people. So he killed 14 people, 10 of the serial emitters, one that was previously considered a copycat crime, and then the 3 other crimes that were not attributed to any crime. It was just 3 random ones, and he was like, "Yeah, I killed them too." And then also his sister-in-law, which he was already convicted of, and then 2 others that happened in another province. So all in all, he confessed to 14 people and then 30 rapes and attempted rapes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So they finally got the guy in 2019, and he's now serving out a life sentence. I think he was convicted in, like, 2020, and then due to the guy that they wrongfully convicted,
Mhm.
he was serving a life sentence, and he appealed at the time on the accusation that police coerced him into doing a false confession through
Mm.
and his appeal was denied, and he was serving 19.5 years before he was released on parole in 2009.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
he had been released on parole in 2009, this came up in 2019, so he filed for a retrial in 2019 after the news broke that they had convicted the wrong guy,
Mhm.
and the police actually announced that Lee was responsible for the murders. And so, obviously, concerns that the police had charged a wrong guy came up, and the district prosecutor's office basically came out and confirmed that he had underwent cruel treatment by the investigators and due to a forensics report saying that they had fraudulently written a forensics report to convict the guy. He had
Oh my
been
gosh.
pressured to give false confession. So they retrialed this dude. He was acquitted. They also booked and charged 8 of the original investigators due to the torture and
Wow.
false accusation and confession of this guy. And so, yeah, he was innocent, and yeah. So that's what happened with this real with this real case.
Oh my gosh. This poor man was in jail for 20 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then they're just like, "Okay, well, go on your merry way." But at least the
Mhm.
police officers were charged with, the abuse and everything, but oh my gosh, like, 20 years of his life?
Yeah.
Wow. And
Yeah.
man, and also the actual crime is horrific. That is
Yeah.
horrific.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So the original guy, his name is Chung Jae.
Mhm.
Chun Jae, sorry.
Mhm.
So they wouldn't basically I don't know if they would have found the guy if he hadn't been convicted of killing his sister-in-law.
Right, right.
Because obviously you have to put your DNA into the system
Mhm.
once you're convicted of something, right?
Mhm.
So, was that possible? I don't know. I don't remember seeing why he technically, quote unquote, stopped because I mean
Right.
the serial murders happened in 90s
Mhm.
and the sister-in-law thing I think happened in I mean, I think my only thing is he stopped because he went in jail for his sister-in-law.
Right. Yeah,
So
that's what
that's
stopped it.
probably why it stopped. Because I think the sister-in-law was, like, 94 or something, and the last one in the Hwasong serial killer was 91. So,
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So that was, like, a huge thing in 2019, 2020 when they found this
Yeah.
guy because it had been a 30-something-year-old case that was infamous at this point, like, everybody knew about this case.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
and I can't remember why they decided to retest something or whatever. If you guys any of these cases I talk about, I'm like, this is like literally Google search in an hour before we started recording, not research whatsoever. I mean, to a minimal extent. Please go listen to like Korean true crime podcasts. They do a lot better research of this and give a lot more details of this. I'll put the link in the description for all of these. They've done wonderful episodes on all of these crimes we're going to talk about. But yeah, so Hwasong's serial murders have like due to it being so famous in Korea, has obviously been featured in a bunch of crime dramas, a bunch of Korean movies, Signal obviously being one of them. But yeah, so yeah, the guy basically had almost 50 victims if you
Oh my
count between the murders
goodness.
and the rapes itself. Yeah,
That
yeah,
is insane. I just wow. That's chilling.
yeah. And he couldn't get convicted on any of the serial murders because of the 50, like the
This
statute of limitations.
invitation.
He was already serving a life sentence for his sister-in-law, so they had to do that, basically.
Whew,
Alright.
man, that's
And he
disturbing.
also apparently, he's not seeking parole or anything at all, because
Yeah.
if he ever, for some reason, got out, I think the public would have
Uh,
something to say about that.
yeah, no, there's I mean, don't even bother.
Right.
What? You're not getting out. Don't even bother. That's insane. Oh my gosh. That is insane. Man.
What did you think of this case in terms of, like, Signal itself? Because I still cried during this case, and I knew what
Yeah,
was coming
I
during this
know.
case.
I know. It was devastating for sure. Like
Yeah.
these first like I would say like the first like 6 episodes, I was like really emotional. Like it
Yeah.
was very emotional. I think they did a great job portraying it. But yeah, it was
Mhm.
definitely very intense, very disturbing, and man, it was really emotional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the thing too is, like, with this one, they were obviously investigating it in the past because it was happening at
Yes.
that time, um,
Yes.
but also had victims who survived go through this experience again because they ended up being killed when Lee
Mhm.
Jae-hoon was living at
Mhm.
that time, so that's how the
Mhm.
tie-in happened.
Mhm.
So that was even, like, horrific because 'cause you're like, "Oh my god, these people survived this thing," and then they have to go through it all over again.
Exactly. Man.
And then, of course, you have to deal with, like, the corruption again because everybody wants the recognition of, like, solving this case
Mhm.
and whatever, whatever.
Mhm. Mhm. It was it was really sad because so Jaehan had a young lady that he was interested in, and, like, she was interested in him too, but they were both, like, kind of too shy. He would, like, watch as she was walking home to make sure she got home okay, and, like, she tried to, like, invite him to the movies, but, like, not really. She was like, "Oh, I have these, like, 2 movie tickets." Here you go kind of thing, but like not really saying like, oh, I want to go with you. Like, so they were kind of doing this song and dance for a while, but it was really sweet and really innocent. She was one of the victims of this serial killer. And I will
Right.
never forget, he goes to the movies, using the tickets that she got for him. And it's a comedy. So everyone in the theater is laughing and he is weeping because she's
Mhm.
gone and she was supposed to go to the movies with him. And man, it was so devastating, and, like,
Yeah,
they really tried their hardest to prevent these murders from happening and kinda
yeah.
reverse it and, like
Which they did to some
which they
extent.
did for some of them, they were able to,
Yeah.
but, like, not for all. Like, for her, like, they couldn't. they weren't able to get it done. And it was
Right.
just so sad. Like, it was so sad.
Yeah, and then you have on top of that, at least in this case, in the story, in the Signal, you had the father and
Mhm.
the son, and the fact that, like, I remember the first time seeing this and being like, "Look, I understand that the father did not want to admit that his son was doing these horrific
Oh
murders,
my goch, that guy,
but"
I was like, "You can kick rocks. Like, what is wrong with you?"
Right. Exactly. It was like at some point, it's like you knew this was happening and you
Mhm.
blatantly lied about it. Like, they showed that
Mhm.
he literally knew who they were talking about and lied.
Mhm. Yeah, and he was like, "I will do anything for my son," and that's how, like, the
Right.
like, I think I don't remember who remembered he said that, but, they were like, "Oh, yeah, he's pretending that he's the murderer to, like, cover for his son," which is like, you need to draw the line somewhere. You know your son is literally a serial killer, and he's not gonna stop, and you're just
Mhm.
gonna go to jail for him, and people are gonna continue dying. I was so angry with that man. I was just like, "I understand this is your son and you love him, but your son's doing wrong and you have to be able to, like, accept that." Oh, yeah,
Right.
it was like, oh man, it's just like
Right.
and you knew it's just like you knew that this was happening, like, you put 2 and 2 together and you realized it had to be your son and you still decided to, like, try to cover it up.
Feel like the poor excuse of like, "Well, he didn't have a mother." I'm like,
And I'm just like,
"Dude, really?"
what?" Like, what in the world? Like, I was like, "Sir, please." It was crazy. But I really
Mhm.
liked how everything unfolded with that case
Right.
because you see,
Yeah.
like, the bus and, like, you're like, "Okay, like, where is this going?" And they're like, "Okay, well, everyone that was murdered, like, happened to, be a regular on this bus route." And it's just like, "Okay." And then so they're like, "Oh, was it the bus driver?" I was just like, "No," but, like, "Oh, but his son is always on the bus with him when he's on his routes." It's like,
Yeah.
"Huh, okay." Was the son on the bus this day? Was the son on the bus this day? I was like, "Oh my gosh, he was." And, like, the way that it all came together, I thought was just really brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting also to see the dynamic of because this is really the first case that they all 3 of them in their specific timelines are investigating a case together.
Mhm.
I mean, Kim Hae Soo has no idea that the walkie-talkie thing is a thing, and
Yes,
she
yes.
doesn't for a long time, and I forgot how long
For a
that was.
while, like, for basically, like, the whole show almost, really, I
Yeah,
was like she was, like, in the
yeah.
dark about it.
I forgot how long that was. I honestly thought it was, like, episode 10. I didn't think it was episode 14.
Literally, like
But it was interesting to see like, technology aside, it was interesting to see how they went about interviewing people and, like, chasing down people and whatever. Because I mean, Jaehan is, like, the epitome of a rough cop that you are just, like,
Yes.
dealing with and, like, kind of, like, hitting the pavement investigating stuff,
Mhm.
where obviously Lee Jae-hoon's character is more of the thinker person
Yeah,
because he is a
for sure.
profiler.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Kim Hae Soo is, I think, kind of an in between of both, like, because she kind
Mhm.
of I don't wanna say grew up, but, like, she trained in both of
Yes.
those worlds per se.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, yeah. So, it was interesting to see that dynamic too.
So good.
Okay, anything else you wanna say about this case?
I think so, I think we hit on everything.
Okay. So, the next one, was the robbery case with the wealthy people.
Yes. This one was, like, kinda convoluted. It was really good, though, but it was a lot going on.
So that's also actually based off of a real life case. Um,
Mm.
it took place in 1980s. It was Jo Se-hyung, he was 38 at the time, broke
Mhm.
into 3 houses of wealthy families. He stole diamonds from the families, the biggest being 5.75 carats. He was caught with diamonds in his house, the total being about 26 million won. I don't know the conversion of that off the top of my head. He had sold many of the diamonds as well, and so he was called in as a suspect. He escaped before they could question him, and then when they tried arresting him again, he ended up getting shot in the ear. And then in 2015, he was released from prison after being convicted of that robbery,
Okay.
and he was arrested again 5 months later doing the same exact thing.
Of
This is a
course.
common occurrence thing. He has been doing this since, like, 20 I think the last one was 2024.
Oh, so he just, like,
It's a
keeps he doesn't
it's a
care.
common thing. Yeah, it's like a Robin Hood type situation. He
Yeah.
steals from the witch, he
Mhm.
sells the stuff, he donates a lot of the money apparently, according to what I've read.
Oh, wow, so he thinks
He
he's
doesn't.
justified in it.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, and, from what I have researched, he hasn't harmed anybody as far as I can tell. It's
Okay.
mainly he's just stealing things, selling things, giving it to charity, and then getting arrested and serving his time. Then
Repeat the
doing that
cycle.
once again. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because like and he became notoriously famous for this in, like, the 8 like, 70s and 80s. They nicknamed him the Great Thief, that was his nickname. Because he would only steal from the wealthy, and then he would obviously, as I said, like, give it to charitable purposes. I think from the big one that he did, I think he received, like, a 15-year sentence, and
Mhm.
so he got out, and then he even did this in Tokyo, apparently, too.
Wow.
And so he's done this many, many times in 2005, 2013, 2015, 2019, 2010, 2022.
Wait, how old is this man now?
He is 85. Well, he
Wait, and
was
he's
85
still
in 2023.
and he's
So,
still but ho like, wow. Okay.
yeah, so he's still doing it. Apparently in 2023, he was sentenced to 1.5 years in prison, again, due to robbery or, burglary, I guess. Yeah. So he is still constantly doing this.
St
Yeah. So that is what this case is based off of. Obviously, in the show, it's a lot worse
Yeah.
than just robbery, but that
Yes.
is the robbing of the houses, in Signal was a cover up for other stuff, but the
Mhm.
robbing part of that story was based off of a real case that
Yep.
was happened. So in Signal, they had a series of rich households being robbed, and supposedly people were thinking obviously it was jewelry, diamonds, whatever from their safes. But we find out later that it was actually a cover up to find evidence of more heinous crimes that were being done by these
Mhm.
children of these wealthy people
Mhm.
and trying to cover up that evidence that actually got stolen. And that
Yeah.
led to a murder and like a lot of shady stuff happening.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
This one was really wild. I don't know they how she even thought to, like, write, like, the because it was
Yeah.
so, like, convoluted and you just and not in a bad way, but it was so complex the way
Mhm.
this crime was written. So, yeah, we start out with this man, and he has a daughter, and, he's, like, living his life. I think he got accused of stealing a car, right?
So that's the other thing.
Yeah.
That bridge collapse also is based off of a real case too,
Oh
which
my gosh.
we'll talk about that in a sec. But yeah,
Yeah.
he was arrested for like, if I remember correctly, it was either no, I think it was jewelry or like he was pawning something, and that's when
Yes.
he was caught.
Yes. So
And
he
then
got caught for that. Yeah.
yeah, and he served 2 years if I remember
Mhm.
from the storyline, and that's how
Mhm.
Jahan knows him because he took care of
Mhm.
his daughter while he was in prison.
In prison. Yes, yes. But then the
Yeah.
second time when he had arrested him and they were on the bridge, that was for the stealing stealing a car or something, right?
No, he that was they found DNA in the house. Like,
Oh, right. Okay.
he was being arrested for the robberies, for the
The robberies.
burglary.
Okay. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, yeah, so Jahan had this really good relationship with, the dad and the daughter, and it was really, really sweet because he was kinda like an uncle to her. Her dad ends up getting arrested because they found the DNA evidence, and so, he had to get handcuffed, of course. He's, like, handcuffed to the car. So they're, like, driving, and as they leave the house, the daughter leaves the house too, and she's really distraught, and she's crying, and she gets on the bus. And so they're, like, driving along the road, and the car is driving right next to the bus, and the dad can see his daughter literally sobbing, and it was so sad. And they're driving, and Jahan eventually just gets behind the bus, and suddenly the bridge literally collapses,
Yeah.
and the bus just goes straight down, and Jahan was able to stop their car before their car went down.
Right.
And so Jahan immediately runs out of the car. The dad was, like, knocked out for a second, but he eventually comes to, and Jahan's like, "Oh my gosh," because he could see the daughter in the bus, and she's
Yeah.
starting to stir. It's like she kind of
Yeah, the
wakes
dad
up.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, and the dad
But the
wakes up
dad is
too, and
also still handcuffed to the car, so he
yes!
can't go anywhere.
Yes, and he's handcuffed to the car, but he could see, like, his daughter, like, stirring, and he's, like, screaming, and Jahan's screaming too, and there was another child in the bus as well that was, like, the child of, like, a rich person, and
Yeah,
so, basically, they realized that there was fuel leaking, so, like, this thing's gonna blow really soon, and, basically, the rich person's child was prioritized over, um, this man's child that was arrested, and so they're able to get that other child out of the bus in time, but the daughter was not able to get out of the bus in time, and the bus explodes. Devastating.
yeah,
Devastating. And so now the dad kind of has this vendetta because he needs someone to blame for his daughter's death, and so he sets his sights on this man that his daughter was saved
rich
and not his
father.
daughter. Yes, the rich
Yeah.
father, and that's who he
Yeah,
wants to
because the rich
blame.
father was in the bus as well and basically told the
Mhm.
emergency people to take care of his daughter first.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so then he's like, "I'm coming for you
yeah.
next." Yeah.
Yeah. This is the first time we kind of see, the consequences of their actions and choices
Mhm.
when it
Mhm.
comes to, should I change the timeline, should I not? Because the whole point of
Mhm.
the walkie-talkies and talking between timelines is you change the outcome. That is the
Yeah.
point of wanting
Yeah.
hopefully changing the outcome, and sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes that's not a good thing. And
Yeah.
in this case, with the robberies, it was never solved at the time.
Mhm.
And so they decided to solve it because what came up is the dad getting out of
Mhm.
prison
Yep.
started hunting down the people his vendetta
Mhm.
in the present day.
Mhm.
So that's what triggered this whole reinvestigation thing.
Yep.
But it was very well clear, like, if they had never investigated this in the first place,
Yeah.
they never would have found the dad, the daughter never would have died,
Mhm.
the daughter might not have been on the bus. Like, there was a
Right.
lot of things connecting to that that obviously made the past cop feel guilty about everything
Yes.
after the fact because he
Yes.
essentially made changes and caused the daughter to be on the bus. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, and then
so
how do you even, like, introduce, like, the part 2 to this because it's, like, so
yeah,
much.
yeah. So
Um
the thing with this too, he was doing a vendetta in the present day, which caused essentially in the present day, the father gets out of prison and
Yeah.
decides, I'm going to get my revenge. And so he
Yeah.
kidnaps the daughter who is now an adult of the rich guy
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
puts her in a freezer truck
Yes.
and is like, okay, you have, I don't know, 24 hours to find her or whatever,
Right. Right.
and calls for a ransom and does all this stuff, unknowing to anybody that she was in a freezer truck, but if she wasn't in the truck they actually found. The goal actually was to get revenge on the father. He didn't want to
Yeah.
harm the daughter.
Yeah.
She might have been like collateral damage eventually, but that wasn't the point. So
Mhm.
what happened and the consequences of their investigation was he rigged a separate truck to explode
Yeah.
because he had studied electrical engineering while in prison.
Yeah.
And that caused Kim Hae Soo's character to basically be murdered.
Yes.
Uh,
I was shocked. I was like, "Wait, is she, like, actually dead?" I was like, "Wait, but the show basically just started. What's happening?"
yeah, this was episode 5 and 6, people. There's
Right? I was
16
like
episodes.
I was like, "Wait, is she, like, dead, dead?" And, like, oh my gosh, I was shocked. I was
Yeah,
shocked.
yeah. So that caused obviously Lee Jae-hoon is like, "Oh my god, I need to change this or she's gonna stay dead."
Mhm.
So he went back to our past cop and they tried to figure out who the real people were of the burglaries. To essentially at this point the daughter was already dead. So it wasn't like
Yeah.
they could go and change that, and the
Yeah.
the accident on the bridge had already happened, but they could at least get the father out of prison earlier
Mhm.
in the hopes of him going and kidnapping the daughter in the present day and rigging this whole explosive in the truck never happened.
Mhm.
And so that's essentially what they did is they reinvestigated or and they investigated the robberies more and actually caught the guys.
Yeah.
And I thought the villain, the son who played the son, he was an amazing villain actor, in
Oh,
my
he was
opinion.
fantastic. He was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, and the fact that, like, you got to see him in present day and them
Yeah.
interviewing him in present day and then what he was like as a kid, like,
Yeah.
when I say kid, he obviously they didn't, like, age him down or something. Played a college kid, high school kid, I think
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
college, I don't know. He thought he was untouchable because he was a prosecutor's son, a chief
Mhm.
prosecutor's son. So
Mhm.
he not only was doing these robbery things, but what he was actually doing with the robbery stuff was he was covering up soliciting these women who were supposed to be actresses, but the agency
Yes.
basically made them prostitutes.
Yes,
And
yes, which rolled into,
he
like, the
was
next case, and they did
yeah,
such a great job integrating it, but
yeah.
yeah.
But they were he basically was a horrible person who was raping these girls and,
Yep.
like, just partying with them for fun and
Mhm.
doing a bunch of really heinous crimes with his friends.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
because he thought he was untouchable, he thought he could get away with it.
Mhm.
And, yeah, that was one of my more satisfying arrests that they made in
Yes.
this show because he
Yes.
was so arrogant
Yes.
until he wasn't. Because what
Yes.
happened was how they got him is one of his victims essentially got away, where he thought he had killed her, and
Mhm.
she changed her name, went abroad, came
Mhm.
back 20 years later, which is how EJ Hoon's character got involved because
Yeah.
her old fiancé thought she had died and then
Yeah.
saw her randomly in a window and was like, "No, she's alive. I need to find her."
Yeah.
And so that caused them to reinvestigate this entire case and whatever. So
Mhm.
she had come back to Korea to help her mom with some surgery,
Yeah.
by, like, giving her liver to her or something.
Yeah.
And so they basically tracked her down in this hospital, and she ultimately decided to confess that, "Yes, this guy is a horrible person. This is what I
Yes.
know. He
Yes.
actually did the robberies, blah, 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 blah," and because there was
Yeah.
no statute of limitations on that stuff,
Mhm.
they could arrest him for it, along with some
Mhm.
other crimes that he did later in his years.
Yeah. No, it was the way that they integrated those, like, literally, like, felt like 3 separate
Mhm.
crimes, it was really brilliant, but yeah, that case
Yeah.
really shocked me because you think that because when we get introduced to the fiancé and he's like, I'm trying to find her, like, she's just been missing, and I think I saw her, and you're like, "Okay, well, is this a whole new case? Like, what's happening?" And then you find out that it's, like, integrated with everything else, but yeah, like, the prosecutor's son that we find out had done all the robberies and everything, he had sexually assaulted her, like, and, like, it was on tape, and so,
Mhm.
basically, she was, like, kind of, like, in this, like, prison because of this tape and, like, the constant threat of it coming out and, like, someone did something so horrible to you and they taped it, and so, she had a best friend that would, come stay with her because they were both, actresses, and if she had, like, an audition in town, she would come stay with her, and so her and the friend were, like, sleeping in the bed, and the girl, she got up and she got water in the middle of the night, and the prosecutor's son came into her house and he got into the bed, thought he was killing her, but ended up killing her friend. And
Yeah.
she was, like, in the corner hiding and, like, witnessed the entire thing. And so basically she ended up taking her friend's identity and just disappearing. And she just went
Yeah.
away and she was gone for 2 decades and came back. And so when they finally caught him, he's, like, in the interrogation room, very arrogant, like Caitlin was saying, and he's like, "I'm untouchable." And she comes in, and he's immediately, like he's backed up in a corner screaming like, "I thought I killed you. I thought I killed you. Like, are you a ghost? What's going on?" And then now we have a confession. And so it was so like Caitlin said, it was so satisfying. It was so satisfying
Yeah.
that this guy was finally taken down. But, oh,
Yeah.
man, it was a really good one, though. That was a really good one.
Right, and because he was a prosecutor's son, you obviously still had the corruption going on even in present day because we have
Mhm.
our I don't even know, was he chief of police at this point? I wanna say he's chief of police at this point.
Oh,
The
the big
scummy
bad?
guy that, like
Yeah.
yeah, the big guy. I'm almost positive he was, like, chief of police. He
Yes.
he's
Kim
one of
Bong
those
Ju.
characters, there's always one where he knows when to butter somebody up, when to kiss somebody's ass,
Mhm.
to get to the next level. And he at that point in terms of the present day where EJ Hoon's character was, he was at that next level. But that
Yeah.
also caused him to have to cover up for a bunch of people. And
Yeah.
so a bunch of people kept coming to him to cover up. So in this case, the dude's father, who I don't think was chief prosecutor anymore, I think he was probably retired at that point, still went to the guy and was like, "Hey, my son is about to be implicated again, and you covered it up for the first time. You need to do
Mhm.
something again."
Mhm.
And I think that's the satisfying part of this is it was like it was the first crack in this guy's cover-up scheme because
Yeah.
the fact that they rolled in the girl that he thought he had killed and he said on tape, "I thought I killed you," like, there's nothing you can do
Yeah.
to, like, cover that up at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. He said what he said. There's
So
nothing you can do to, like it's like, "Oh, he didn't
so,
mean it."
like
Like, no.
right. So this chief of police, like, knew he couldn't do anything at that point, which caused his father, the chief prosecutor, to also be arrested because everybody was like, "Well, if they covered him up doing this crime in the '80s or '90s, whenever they took place, what says he like, that puts into question everything he had ever prosecuted in his life."
Yep.
Right? You never want that kinda thing coming out, especially
Nope.
because, like, lawyers, prosecutors, chief of police always become politicians
Yeah.
at some point, especially in K-dramas.
That's hilarious. You said they all become politicians at some point.
Signal in another case, there's a congressman that does a lot of
Yes.
stuff. Um, yeah, yeah. So speaking of this case, you mentioned a bridge collapse. That was
Yes.
also a real case in Korea. So the bridge collapse happened in 94. So the bridge is over the Han River, connects the districts Songdong and Gangnam. It was completed in 1979. And then 15 years later, in 94, it collapsed. So about 50 meters of concrete fell into the River
Oh,
along
wow.
with 3 cars, a minibus, and a bus. And from what I can
Wow.
tell, the bus in the drama, like, was on the thing when it fell.
Mhm.
In the real life, it had actually almost passed over the section that it fell, and the back end fell. So it was a little different
Oh.
in the drama. Yeah. So it still landed how it landed. Like it still went nose down and then fell over like it did, but it just
Yeah.
was the back end and not the front end.
Oh my
So a
gosh.
total of 49 people fell, 32 people were killed, several being high school students, just like the drama,
Oh.
one person of Filipino citizenship. The other 17 were severely injured. And from what I found out, the bridge fell due to the improper steel welding supporting the concrete slab. And they actually knew that it was going to fail. And um, they had basically reinforced it for the weekend with the plan to redo it the next week,
Oh my
and
gosh.
that obviously didn't happen. Like, people were like, "Oh, well, we enforced it, it was fine. We'll deal with it next week," and then it obviously fell. They had to, like, rebuild the entire bridge due to the improper welding situation. A ton of people got with the construction company that originally built and everything, a lot of people got investigated, a lot of politicians got investigated, that type of stuff. That is another episode covered in the crime podcast in the
Oh my
description. But yeah,
goodness.
so this was also based off of a real case that happened in the 90s. This was not an unsolved case, unlike the Hwasong serial murders and some
Right.
of the other cases, but it's another case. So, okay. Anything else you want to say about these episodes?
I don't think
5,
so.
6, 7?
I think we hit
Okay,
it.
cool, cool, cool. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to say? One thing I did like about the choice, and this is just overall, and not necessarily like the episodes itself, but overall, I do think also what helped in terms of somewhat keeping track of the time
Mhm.
travel thing is
Mhm.
the lighting difference and the filter difference.
For sure, for
Because
sure. You can definitely
when
tell when you're in
they
the past.
yeah, yeah, I mean, it also helps that Kim Hae-soo had long hair in the past.
Yes,
That
yes,
was
yes,
that was
yes.
another thing.
Yeah, but they did a good job making it look different and distinct.
The next one is the Hamwang-dong case, which is the bag over the head,
Woo!
plastic
Yeah.
bag over the head thing.
Oh my
So that
gosh.
was episodes 9 through 11.
Mhm. Sang Yob cameo. I know.
I was expecting to be like, "Oh my god, he's in this too? Jeez."
Yeah.
This is a very early role for him. Very early role.
He looked so young. I was like, "Oh my
It looks so
gosh."
young. So this case was also based off of a real case. It's not quite as many victims as the Signal case. So
Okay.
it's based off of the Xinjiang serial murders, also known as the Bazaar Rabbit, quote unquote, Bazaar Rabbit murders.
Mhm.
So in 2005, just like in the drama, a man collecting cardboard discovered a heavy object in a trash pile, and it turned out to be a woman wrapped in burlap with a black plastic bag over the head. A second victim was found in a parking lot, same MO with the white cloth, burlap, plastic bag, same knot as his first victim. So both victims had their hands bound. And then due to the uniqueness of these knots, the police was believing that the culprit had a job in like packing and wrapping situation.
Mm.
No DNA was found on the crime scene or the bodies. And then in 2006, so those two victims were in 2005. In 2006, at noon, a woman was abducted at a station, Xinjiang station. She was held up against a knife by a man and led to a basement room. When passers asked if everything was fine, the man said that she had drank too much alcohol because people saw him walking her to this basement room. The woman was blindfolded before entering the basement room where a second man was. The woman knew one man had gone into the bathroom and the other was out of the room. She took off the blindfold. Her hands were still untied at that point and she fled the room. She took refuge behind a shoe cupboard on the second floor and she stayed hidden until she thought that the man had stopped looking for her. And then she ran from the house.
Oh my gosh. That's literally like kinda like what happened.
Actually remember listening to this case on the Korean true crime podcast. So I forgot that this was comparative to this case. After she ran, she found an elementary school where they called the police for her, and she told investigators she did not remember where she was, but she did remember that she saw a sticker of a the character name is Mashimaro, which is the Korean
Mhm.
name translated to Bazaar Rabbit. That's the translation
Mm.
apparently, on the shoe cupboard that she was hiding behind. So she remembered that. She also remembered the two men talking, and one of them laughed, saying she was going to die. The abductor was said to have bushy eyebrows, to be a bit chubby, have a height between 175 and 176, and was in his 30s. Incident has been debated over time if it was a serial murder case because the last victim was attempted murder. Because, as definition, when it comes to serial cases, you need 3 victims minimum
Mhm.
for it to be a serial murder case. So, that is what this is based off of, apparently, which you can see there are commonalities. In
Yes.
Signal, he had many, 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 many more victims
Yes.
because they did not discover this case until the time period that EJ Hoon was in. So, I mean, they did, but like they didn't know at the time. So it was investigated between the two because our past cops knew about it, but they didn't solve it. So EJ Hoon and his team started solving it. And then they discovered there were many, many, many other victims than what was known. I think they said 11 in total, if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm.
when it came to the
Mhm.
drama. So this
Yeah.
is definitely a serial case when it comes to the drama itself.
Yes.
Thoughts on this case? Because this is an intense case, to say the
Ooh,
least.
yeah. This one was intense. Yeah, this one was intense. Lee Sang-yeop's character, he worked at a convenience store, and so he targeted, like, a certain type of woman in these crimes. So it's, like, more like kind of, like, subdued, maybe seemed a little bit shy or lonely or something like that. And so, like, he would kind of, like, see who, like, the regulars were and then eventually kind of, like, set his sights and, like, follow them home or something, and then he would put the bag over their head, drag them to his house. He would just kind of, like, leave them there for a while, and then eventually he would be like, "Oh, let me help you," which means he's just gonna push out your misery and basically strangle you to death, which was so chilling and so disturbing. And so we find out in the past timeline that Soo Hyun was one of the victims of this man.
Mm,
Oh my gosh. First of all,
yeah.
I was like, this just one explains so much about her, like, as a character and as a person, but, yeah, she becomes one of his victims, he captures her, she's in his house, and I was like, good on her because the fact that she just, like, got up and, like, felt her way around until she figured out how to get outside and just
Mhm.
ran even though she couldn't see, her hands are bound, there's a bag over her head, she cannot see, but she's like, "I'm just gonna run." Um Oh, man, she ran and she ran and she ran, and eventually she ends up passing out, and when she wakes up, Jahan is, like, holding her, and she starts to scream. She's having a full-on, kind of like a PTSD response, and he's like,
Right.
it's okay. I'm sorry I was late. I'm here, I'm here, I'm here." Her acting in that scene, big song
Yeah.
worthy. Oh my gosh, it was so good, but whoo, man, I mean, it goes without saying, this was very traumatic for her.
And it still is. Even, like, we saw scenes when she was in the present day investigating this that, like, she never got through that trauma, never talked to anybody, like,
Mhm.
very few people knew that happened to her, that type of
Mhm.
situation. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
And we also find out later on, not episode 9, when it was first revealed that she had gone through this, but later on in, like, episode 10 or 11, we found out why she had passed out where she did, and,
Yeah.
like, what caused her to end up there. She essentially ran out, tripped, and then
Mhm.
started running in the direction she came from, so she bumped into the killer again on the
Yes.
outside of house, and then he almost killed her in that driveway. And then
Mhm.
the only reason that he stopped was because Jahan showed up and was,
Exactly.
like, calling her name and, like, "Where the hell are you?" That type of situation. And the whole thing of, like, I feel like Jahan at that point also, I think, kind of felt guilty in a way because the whole reason she was out there in the first place in this neighborhood was because he couldn't, due to our scumbag person who wanted to climb the ladder,
Yeah.
he couldn't investigated things that he should be investigating. So he
Mhm.
took it upon himself to get Kim Hae Soo to investigate these. And then
Mhm.
he didn't ask her directly to investigate this. She kind of took it upon herself because she wanted to impress him because she admired him.
Yep.
And then she just bit off more than she could chew and didn't go, like, common thing with her character, did not go anywhere with backup, which is
Yep.
a thing that gets her into trouble all the time in this drama.
Yes.
Um,
Can I say, like, there was this one scene that cracked me up as, like, an example is she just goes into situations without backup, but, like, she literally, like, runs into, like, traffic to, like, attack the guy on the motorcycle.
yeah,
I forget, like, what, like, he was accused of, but she's like, "That's him," and she literally just runs into traffic and just, like, tackles him to the ground, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And then it turns out to be the guy. She's
right.
like they're like, "You're awesome." It's like, yeah, she just,
Yeah,
like, runs into situations, and it's just like,
yeah.
"Okay, we didn't think
Not
that
only is she
through."
running, she literally jumped over a car and dove
She
off the car
did,
and tackled
yes,
this.
and that's what made me laugh because she literally jumped over a car to get to him.
Yeah. Kim Hae Soo
Oh
was
my
a
gosh.
badass cop in this show. Then you see, like, he's not only was her acting brilliant in that scene when Jaehan found her, his acting was great because I think we see this dynamic between them where she clearly likes him and has a crush on him and
Mhm.
admires him. You don't really know how he feels because he's never
Yeah.
gotten over his girlfriend dying,
Mhm.
and that is very apparent, and that is a big thing. But by the end, this took place, I think it was like 2000s when these were happening in the story.
Mhm.
They had been working together for years at that point. And so if it wasn't a case where he liked her or not, he at least respected her and
Right.
cared for, like, her presence in his life. And he was scared. He was scared when he found her supposedly dead, but not really, but, like, apparently dead in this driveway. You could see the guilt of, like, all the emotions basically through his face
Yep.
in this scene.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think if anything, this case was a big turning point in their relationship too. Um,
1000%.
yeah,
1000%.
yeah,
So good. It's very well done.
very well done. Yeah. And it's like it's weird too because there's some people that were saying that they felt bad for the killer of this case.
Yes, because he has trauma. His mom abused him,
Yeah,
treated him horribly. It's like physical abuse, like neglect, just horrible things she was doing to him. He actually was found out that he murdered his mother.
yeah,
And because when Soo Hyun was like trying to escape his house, she had like bumped into like a cold corpse, and she was like, "Oh my gosh." And, she's running, but we later find out that that body was his mother's body. So, like, yeah, he definitely had some childhood trauma. I did not feel bad for him. He was still a sick individual.
right.
Behavior can be explained. It doesn't excuse it. You can explain it, but you can't excuse it. So, yeah.
Yeah,
And I remember she was just like, "Yeah, I don't feel bad for him. He's a murderer."
right, right. And then this case was also the first time that Jae-hong found out about Kim Hae-soo's character in the future, about how she was, like, a team leader now and, like,
Mhm.
was handling cold case and everything. Because at that point, he didn't even know she was still a cop, let alone existed in Lee Jae-hoon's world.
Mhm.
So we got that little inkling of emotion when it comes to him finding out about her and her life in the future.
Yep.
At this point, obviously has no idea what happened to him himself at all because we haven't
Yeah.
gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that at the end when that case comes up. All right. Anything else you want to talk about with this case?
I don't think so. Well,
Okay.
actually, one thing is that they were able to, reverse I think they were able to reverse all of them, right? Because
Not like Kim Hae Soo was the last one, I think. Kim Hae
but
Soo's
they
character was the last one.
yes, but, like, the one girl that, the most recent one, like, that they were
Yeah.
able to reverse that one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other ones. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Because they basically caught him back in the day. Not so
Right.
he still killed like 3 people, 2 people,
Right. Right.
and then obviously attacked the cop, but he didn't kill 11.
Mhm.
Okay, so now we are getting to the last case before the actual last case.
Yes.
This is also based off of a real case in Korea. This is anything. It's actually worse in real life than it was in the drama,
Oh my
in my
gosh.
opinion. It's pretty bad in the drama, but it's bad in the real life as well. So the case in episodes 11 to 14 was in the drama is called Inju gang rape
Mhm.
case. In real
Mhm.
life, this is the Mirang Middle School girls gang case,
Oh my gosh.
gang rape case. From January to November 2004, Mirang, which is in South Gyeongsang Province, 44 boys raped and beat 10 middle and high school girls.
What?
Only 3 of them were definitively victims, but the rumor is 10 victims in total, but they could only prove 3.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. In the drama, it's about 10 to 12 perpetrators, but in real life, it was supposedly 44.
Oh my gosh.
In real life, so the first victim met the boys through a group chat, leading to her going to where the boys were and ended up getting sexually assaulted, raped. She was videotaped and photographed while they were doing it, and then, like other cases, the video and photos were held against her as blackmail. The first victim was told or ordered by these boys to then bring her sister and cousin as well,
Oh my
and the cousin got
gosh.
raped while the sister was beaten. Supposed other victims were paid off by the perpetrators, and in December 2004, the case was finally reported to the police. The police ended up only arresting 10 of the supposed 115 boys suspected,
Oh my
and
gosh.
ultimately, only 5 of them ended up in juvie with no criminal charges against them. There was a bunch of settlements with the victims. The police also leaked enough information for the victims to be identified, which caused victim blaming and more harm to the victims. Basically, a lot of people just wanted this to go away and not to have anything come up. The police were fined a bunch of won by the Supreme Court due to this mishandling, and obviously, due to the trauma, all the victims were hospitalized due to psychiatric treatment from the investigation to the crime.
Oh my
So that is
gosh.
what this case is based off of. It's a horrific, horrific case that was mentioned. So
Oh my gosh.
very, very definition case of corruption and like just a bunch of mishandled stuff that should not have been mishandled. Again, that is just my short Google search because that's not the point of this podcast episode, but that is what that is based off of. In Signal, they had 10 perpetrators, 1 victim, and this case kind of kicked off the whole ending of this crime drama, Korean drama, and, because everything was connected from Lee Jae-hoon's brother and how he was involved to Jaehan and what happened to him and everything like that. So this is the case that kinda led to the end. So, what did you think of this case?
This was another one that was so layered, and this one
Mhm,
is very close to Hae-young, Lee Jae-hoon's character because his brother was rounded up as one of the perpetrators in this crime, and he's just wanted all along for his brother's name to be cleared, and, yeah, his brother was falsely accused as far as he was concerned, falsely accused and, being part of this gang rape, and as we can see at the time, his brother got out of, juvie and ended up taking his own life. So, like, it's believed that he's like, "Okay, my brother's wrongly accused," came home and, took his own life. So he's just been tortured over this because he's like, "I know my brother didn't do it, and I need to clear his name." So this was, like, the opportunity. And it was just so hard to see, like, what happened to this little girl and how it's like Lee Jae-hoon's brother was like a friend to this girl and was like trying to
mhm,
help her. And because he was close to her, that's like literally the only reason they were able to like wrongfully accuse him of this. And
right,
they were like, "Oh yeah, like yeah, he was the one that did it." So all the little boys that were like in the gang or whatever, they were like completely just scot free, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll just blame him." And it was
right,
terrible because he was the sweetest guy. He was tutoring the girl. He would tutor a lot of the kids. Super nice. He was a super great big brother to Lee Jae-hoon's character. And then for his life to just completely get destroyed because of this, and for him to lose his brother was just so sad. But yeah, they were able to. This is how the big bad, the chief of the police and his little friend, they were like trying to sabotage everything the cold case squad was doing the entire show anyways. But like this time it's like you can really see like how his hand has been in all of this from the beginning. So we found out that EJ Hoon's brother did not kill himself, that the police chief was the one that actually went to his house and murdered him and tried to make it look like a suicide. He essentially drugged him and killed him and just made it look like
mhm,
it was a suicide because he wanted to cover up because, he's linked to all these rich, powerful people. They're like, "Yeah, you need to make this go away. So whoever you can blame, you need to blame." And so there was
yeah,
this girl had this red scarf, and basically that's the scarf that had the DNA of the boy that actually did it on it, and he gave it to the police chief. He's just like, "Here's the scarf. Like, this should be all the evidence that you need." And like, he was like, "Okay." And then he killed him and then got rid of that evidence. I was like, how could someone be so wicked? I was just like I was
yeah,
so over him and the other guy, Chisu, by the end. I was like, you guys have just been nothing but trouble from the very beginning. It was exhausting to
right,
watch. And it
yeah,
was so painful to see how they ruined this little boy's life for no reason.
right, yeah, because the people who actually did it had powerful families.
Mhm.
Now, in the present day, all their parents and fathers are, like, Congress people, like, that's where the
Yeah.
congressman came in, but at the time of the murder, he was, like, the boss of a cement company, I think it was,
Mhm,
and they
mhm,
all worked at the cement company, so they had powerful, rich families in this town, and again, it goes with the corruption, rich always win over the poor
mhm,
people until
mhm,
they don't type situation. Yeah, and the chief of police kinda he wanted power, he wanted connections, he wanted to get up there, and the only way he knew how to do that was basically be their dog and
mhm,
bark when they said to bark,
mhm.
and that's what he did. Then that's why he's chief of police right now.
Terrible, just
And then you
terrible.
have Jaehan, who's like, "Literally, I hate you from the time I met you, and I'm gonna do
Yes.
everything possible to, uh, like, just do everything possible to prove that you are a scum of the earth cop, and I
Mhm,
never want you to be considered a cop because that's not what cops do." I love
mhm.
Jaehan in this because, in 1, he has some of the best quotes in this
Yes.
drama.
Yes!
especially when, like, talking about, like, the integrity of an investigation and a cop and
Mhm.
everything like that. But I
Mhm.
think in some sense too, which we see in these episodes, he over time through the walkie-talkie kind of becomes a father figure to EJ Hoon's character in a way.
Absolutely.
Um, and then it's proven in this where he felt so bad for him. I keep forgetting that. Like I forgot that he felt horrible after what happened with the brother because he
Yeah.
attempted to stop it, attempted to be there, and then wasn't able to get there in time. And it still
Yeah.
happened. And he felt horrible, absolutely horrible, and was just wrecked and devastated that he couldn't save this kid.
Yeah.
And then we find out that he actually looked over EJ Hoon's character for the foreseeable future, wherever, whenever he could at that point. Which then EJ Hoon finds out that that was the case too, that this dude had been following him since he was a
Mhm.
kid to
Mhm.
make sure he actually was somewhat okay. He obviously wasn't like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm gonna like stick to you like glue for the next
Yes.
20 something years, but at least I'm gonna make sure you eat,"
Yeah.
basically. So yeah, yeah, I like their relationship.
For sure, for sure.
Then we find out that in these episodes, Kim Hae Soo finally finds out about the walkie-talkie,
Yeah.
which again, I forgot how late she finds out about this
Yes.
thing. And then we have that fantastic scene of her actually talking to Jaehan through
Mhm.
the walkie-talkie, which
Yes.
always makes me cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
She loved him. So
yeah,
I was
she
like, "Oh my
did.
gosh, she finally gets to, like, have some
Y-
closure and some contact with him."
Yeah, and basically tell him like, "I've been waiting 15 years for you, and you never came back."
I
Which
know.
it's like, I don't know, if I was Jaehyung and I heard that, I'm like, "Okay, well, what happened to me 15 years ago?" And they never actually told him. They never
Right.
said,
Yeah.
which I don't think I think that was a good choice. Like, they
I think that
shouldn't
was
have told
wise.
him, but they kind of, like, hinted around of, like, "You don't go here on this
Yeah.
date or
Yeah.
you're gonna die," but they didn't say
Yeah.
you're gonna die.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, this is a good chunk of episodes for sure.
Right. Yeah. Because we really in this episode, not only are we finding out we really learn a lot about EJ Hoon's character in these episodes because it
Mhm.
goes through the whole brother case, but also him growing up, high school years, that type of thing, and then actually what
Yeah.
caused him to study to be a cop
Exactly.
and that choice and everything like that. So
Exactly.
these 3 episodes, like, I don't know, episode 12 to 14 sort of,
Yeah.
was really his story. Um,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, filled in a lot of the holes, which is nice to get, like, that
right,
extra context. Yeah.
right. And then we get to the last 3 episodes,
Yes.
which really is we got the story of Lee Jae-hoon, and now we got the story of Jaehan and what happened to him 15 years ago. That I mean, I always like those 3 episodes are some of my favorite in this drama as a whole.
They were so good. They were so, so
Mhm.
good, and, like, I feel it was, like, the perfect way to kind of wrap things up because it's like you throughout the show, you get, like, little breadcrumbs, but to kinda see, like, the bigger picture, like, towards the end, it was really
Yeah.
satisfying. I'm not gonna lie, though, I think, like, towards the more so, like, 16, I did get a little lost. I got
Mhm.
just a teeny bit lost, but it was
Right,
still I still thought it was great, and, like, also, like, comeuppance for, like, the villains and all the things, so
right. Yeah.
yeah.
So I think due to her saying that, like, "Don't go there." So, like,
Yeah.
what I loved it was, like, a complete circle because at the
Yes,
beginning,
everything comes full
he's on
circle.
the walkie-talkie when they first meet, and he's like, "I showed up at this place that you told me to get to." That's
Mhm.
where he ends up at the end
Yeah.
again, so it's a complete circle, where and the thing is with this walkie-talkie too, you have EJ Hoon's character who, like, through talking through this walkie-talkie, maybe it was a year of him
Right.
just
Yeah.
solving these cases. For
Yeah.
Jaehan, it was years of him,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
years
Years and years and years.
of not talking on this thing
Yeah.
or talking, because there was multiple times where Jae-hoon's character was like, "What year are you in? Are you in, like,
Mhm.
97?" He's like, "Yeah, you
Mhm.
haven't talked to me in 3 years. What's up?"
Yeah,
So,
exactly, and he's just like, "Oh, it's
yeah,
only been, like, a few days here," but, like, on his end, it's like 2 years have gone by, and then 3 years are going by, and it's like, "Okay."
yeah.
Yeah.
So, basically, the entire end of the case is Jahan, the cop in the past, won't let the brother's death go. He's like,
Mhm.
"Something's wrong. I know something's wrong. It's not a suicide. I'm
Yes.
going to investigate this." And it took years of him investigating this.
Yes.
He, like, got transferred to a different, like, province, everything. And he finally got the evidence and then goes, gets it checked in the US, and he finally gets the evidence to prosecute this captain guy.
Yes.
And of course, the captain guy shows up because
Yeah.
at that time, the kid goes missing in the elementary school. So it's like literally a cyclical
Yes.
thing. So
Yes,
he
yes,
literally
exactly.
gets this DNA thing, and then we get the first case that we got in the first episode of the drama. And he
Yes.
goes missing during that case, originally in the original timeline. And so the captain finds out that he has the DNA evidence. And essentially, when he goes to the psychiatric hospital and finds the second body hanging in the manhole, that's when they attack him and blackmail him, threaten him, whatever they
Yep.
can do to make him shut up.
Yep.
And then in the present day, you have this same captain guy who realizes that they are also looking into this case again, his brother's case. And so he wants to stop it in the present day as well, which causes the Inju captain guy who's been his henchman for the last 20 something years
Yes.
finally is like, "I'm done. I'm done being your henchman dude," and he ends up being murdered because he says no, and he wants to give
Mhm.
evidence to EJ Hoon's character of saying, "Yeah, I essentially killed your brother," or "I know who did. This is who it was," and he got killed before he could tell him.
Yeah.
So that's how it all got connected. And so, due to Kim Hae Soo telling him, like, don't go to the psychiatric hospital or you are going to die, she didn't say that, but something's going to happen to you. He
Right.
still went there, but
Mhm.
he was able to, how they changed the timeline was he told people he trusted he was going to go there. And prior,
Yeah.
he didn't tell anybody at all.
Yeah.
He just disappeared. So and they found his body, like, back in this was episodes 13, 14, 15, 16. Back in, like, episode 11, 12, 13, they found his body at this guy's house,
Yeah.
and so they thought they knew he was dead in the present day
Mhm.
by the time they started investigating this last case. Granted, they didn't know who had done the killing, but they
Mhm.
found it at the broker's house, get the other henchman's house.
Mhm.
And so he told the cops that he trusted that he was going to be going there.
Yeah.
And then that's what changed the timeline. And he actually survived that time due to the cops actually getting there in time
Yes.
and stopping them.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But they still couldn't catch the slimy captain guy because he got away.
Nope. Nope. Of course he
And
did.
then in the present day, you have EJ Hoon's character getting shot instead.
Exactly. And I was just like, "No."
Hmm.
Ugh, it's wild. But then,
Right.
like, I think that's when I started to get confused because then I think they were able to, like, reverse that, and then he just, like,
Hmm.
wakes up at his mom's house, and he's like
Yeah.
I guess he was just, like, maybe sick for a day or something and, like, woke up,
Right. Right.
and
Same thing that kinda happened when Kim Hae Soo died, was she
Mhm.
just was sick for the day. Yeah,
Exactly, and so he's, like, up, and he's like, "Okay, I gotta figure out what's going on," and so he goes to the police station, and, like, no one knows who he is, and
yeah,
he's not a lieutenant, like, everyone's like, "Who are you? You can't just barge in here." He's trying to find where Soo-hyun is, they're like, "How do you know her?" Like, no one he's used to coming across knows who he is, and he's stressed out. It's like, "What
yeah,
am I gonna do now?"
right, yeah. Because the cold case unit never got created,
Mhm.
and a bunch of the cases that they had investigated sort of happened, but also didn't happen
Right.
because the people who made the case weren't cops at that point anymore, or
Right.
made the unit weren't cops
Yeah, right.
anymore at that point.
Exactly, exactly.
And, I mean, the captain guy got killed back in the 2000s, so
Yes,
yeah,
exactly, exactly. So I was just like, "Oh my gosh, what's gonna happen?"
yeah,
Ugh.
yeah. Yeah, so then he finally finds Kim Hae-soo after an
Mhm.
episode. This was the last
Mhm.
episode, and they kind of compare notes, basically,
Yes.
because a lot of things got reversed. He was never in the hospital, she couldn't find him at the hospital, and the unit was never
Mhm.
created, so he couldn't find her.
Mhm.
He got a letter that was mailed to his mother's house, and then due to the fact that his parents never got divorced,
Yep.
or if they did, they still had a cordial relationship where in the
Mhm.
past timeline, his father hated everything and
Yeah.
didn't wanna do anything, and that was because
Right.
Jaehan came back and apologized, and the fact that, like, yes, your son was murdered, he was not the culprit, like, kinda set everything straight, even though his brother
Mhm.
still ended up dying.
Right.
The thing is, with Kim Hae-soo's character and Lee Jae-hoon's character, they remembered both timelines. He
Mhm.
remembered his old childhood of being horrible that his dad hated him, but also
Right.
remembered a childhood where they at least had a cordial relationship and he was there during his graduation and all this stuff.
Yes.
And then same with Kim Hae-soo, like she remembered him getting shot, him going to the hospital, him dying on the table,
Mhm.
but then also remembered Jae-han, like, coming back from that
Exactly.
initial attack and being injured, like, very injured, but being alive, where in the past
Exactly.
timeline, he disappeared, he never came back.
Mhm.
And so they finally find each other in that restaurant
Yeah.
because he had received a letter at his mom's that had an address from that location. She received a phone call from that phone booth outside the restaurant. And we discovered that Jahan is still missing for 15 years, but he disappeared for another reason,
Yeah.
which we don't know
Yeah.
why. And so they meet up at this location because they find evidence that he at least was there at the time he went missing at that point.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they kind of compare notes because they now realize like they both know each other and they didn't have each other's phone numbers. Like because they had never met,
Exactly.
they
Exactly.
couldn't call each other,
Yeah, she was like, "I tried to find
anything.
your contact and it wasn't there anymore," and yeah, so now they're finally on the same page.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then they go driving off into the direction of this hospital.
Yes, yes, and Jahan is in the hospital, and they're, like, racing against the other wait, who was trying to find him? Who was the other group of people that were trying to get there too?
The congressman, the
Yes,
Congress
the
people.
congressman. Yes, the congressman, his people, his goons were trying to get there too. So
Yeah.
basically, Lee Jae-hoon's character and Kim Hae-soo, they're like driving, like racing down the road, trying to get to the hospital before the congressman and his people get there.
Yeah.
And then they're splicing that with scenes of Jaehan like getting up. He's like getting out of the hospital bed. We kind of see half his face. Then we finally see his full face. And like he turns around and like we see the walkie-talkie light up, and then the
Mhm.
show ends.
Yep, and then the show ends.
I was like, "What?" Like, what? I did not know it was one of those. I was shocked out of my mind. Shocked.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I was like, "Wow." And I was just like, "No wonder everyone was so excited when they heard about Signal season 2. I get it now." Because the show
Right,
ended off on the biggest cliffhanger ever.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Oh my gosh. So good. So, so good. But it was satisfying. Even though it was a cliffhanger, I was just like, okay, if you're going to do a cliffhanger, like, that's how you do
right,
it. Because the stakes were definitely very
right.
high and it was done very well. But I was just like, whoo, I was not expecting that, which is really, it's really great. Like when you're watching a show and you're like, I had no idea this is where we're going, like, and I appreciate it. I
Right.
couldn't predict this.
Mm,
So
mhm,
this is great.
mhm. So, speaking of the ending, like, do you have any theories of, like, what season 2 might be? Because now they're all in the same timeline.
Right.
So, like,
Right.
how is the walkie-talkie going to come in? Like, do you think there is going to be a time travel situation in season 2? I feel like there has to be somewhat of a time travel thing.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna have to keep that going somehow, some way, because I think they have to reconcile the past version of him with the present version of Jahan as well. Like, it's gonna have to come together at some point. But like, I don't know because I feel like the first part of the show, like, we're gonna have to figure out who gets to him first. I mean, he'll
Right.
survive, I would presume, but it's like, I, I don't know what they're gonna do because, like, are you guys just gonna get together and just get back to solving crimes? Like, I don't know. I don't think so. It's like, are they gonna just focus on kind of taking down the corruption of, like, the government or, like, like, what are they gonna focus on? Like, I don't know where
Yeah,
it's gonna go. I'm also very curious too because now that Jaehyun is, like, alive and, like, back, like, him and Soohyun, like, that is, like, her true love. So, like, I don't know what's gonna
right.
happen with that because I do feel like Jaehoon does feel something towards her that's not completely platonic. So, I'm like, I was just like, "Okay." So, I don't know, like, I feel like there's so
Yeah.
many ways that we can go with it.
Right, and then, like, then also you have to deal with his father, like, it was discovered in the last episode his father knew the entire time this dude was alive and didn't say
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Um, and, like, we didn't really touch on this, but, like, just to show the devotion of Kim Hae-soo's character, every
Mhm.
time a skeletal remain showed up in the coroner's office, she ran
Mhm.
down there to make sure it
Yes.
wasn't him,
Yeah.
and so that she's been doing that for 15 years.
Mhm.
And then also in the last episode, Jaehoon also alluded to the fact that, like, if he was still using the walkie-talkie, he
Mhm.
had to be working with somebody else. Like, was he in a
Yep.
coma for 15 years? Like,
Yeah.
clearly, as you said, the walkie-talkie still works. So he had to be
Mhm.
talking to somebody. So is
Mhm.
that gonna, like, are we gonna bring in another character and, like, talk about more unsolved cases and,
Right.
like, solve those? Like,
That's a good point.
how's that gonna work? Obviously, I think the congressman and his case and his corruption thing is probably going to be a major storyline
Yes, yes.
because
Because
that is a cliffhanger.
absolutely, because I can't imagine them just going like, "Okay, well, let's go back to solving cold cases." It's like, I feel like there's gonna be, like, an
Right.
overarching, thing that they're gonna try to take down. Because I feel like a lot of, like, the consistent one of the consistent, themes in a lot of these cases was just, like, the corruption and, like, kind of, like, the
Yeah.
influence that the rich have and how they're able to just get their way just because they have money, and the government
Right.
with this government, police, these rich kids, whatever, and so I think that it's, like, the kind of maybe, like, an overall takedown of, like, corrupt organization or things like that. Maybe
Yeah.
that'll be like, a major thing in season 2, but we'll see, but I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah. A little side note just in case, this was never something they investigated, but Kim Won-hae's character throughout the drama kept mentioning 5 Oceans. Like, remember
Mhm.
they'd have like, "Let's do this case, let's do this case." It is a
Yes.
infamous mass murder suicide case from, like, that has to do with a cult, and nobody knows if it's actually a murder or just a suicide. Like, they don't really know.
Mm.
So it's a really famous, sort of solved, sort of not solved case, which is why he kept mentioning it. So they'd never actually investigated this in Signal, but I just wanted to reference that that was also an actual case. He kept saying the actual case name. They didn't go into detail because they never investigated it, but that's where the Five Oceans case came from. Is that actually is a real case that
Wow, so maybe they'll do
was
that
came in.
in season 2.
Maybe, maybe, or it would just be an ongoing joke. But like the Netflix documentary In the Name of God,
Mhm.
Holy Betrayal,
Oh,
that is
yeah.
the Five Oceans case. So
Oh,
that's
that's
in
good to
that
know. Okay.
documentary.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and I think it's also mentioned the one that was released a couple weeks ago too, but
Okay,
I
okay.
can't remember the name off the top of my head. Anyway, so just little note of that. I forgot to mention that. So that's where Five Oceans came.
Wow, just a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, Google is a wealth of knowledge where you know how to look. Let's see. Do we have anything else we wanna talk about? Anything you
I did
disliked about it? Like, anything you wanted to say you wish was better? Or I mean, you
n
said it was a great drama in total, so
yeah, no, honestly, there was nothing I disliked about it. I thought it was
Mhm.
excellent. It was brilliantly, like, acted, the cinematography was great, the storylines were amazing. Like, the only nitpick I had was just, like, some of the it's a personal problem. I just have a hard time keeping track of things when it comes to, like, time,
Right.
time travel things, like, it's a problem. Like, I can never keep it 100% straight, but, like,
Mhm.
it's really not a ding on the drama, it's just a personal problem. No, it's
Right.
like but I thought it was amazing, and what else I thought was funny in the drama, kind of like the running gag with, like, when with Kim Ae-soo's character in, like, The Color Pink. Like, the first time we
Yeah.
see her at home and she literally has a Juicy tracksuit on
Yes.
trying to take a
Yeah.
nap. And it's like every time she's not at work, she's literally wearing pink from like head to toe. And like her mom is
Yeah,
like, I love you in pink. Wear pink to your blind date. Da, 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 da. It's just so funny because it was such a contrast to her character. And I just thought
right.
it was a really funny, like running joke throughout the whole show.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this had, some I forgot it had very tasteful comedy in it because,
I
I mean,
agree.
obviously, you are dealing with some horrific crimes when it comes to this drama, and I think
Yeah.
they tastefully put emotional scenes, heartwarming scenes,
Mhm.
comedy scenes, and then maybe a little bit of social commentary when it comes to, like, Kim Hae-soo's character entering the police
Yeah.
station. It's very light when it comes to the gender norms.
Mm,
For example, Through the Darkness has a lot more gender norm stuff in that K-drama,
mhm.
but there's still some being talked about in this one. But yeah, you have, like, him teaching her how to drive. It's like
Yep.
that funny
So that
scene
was
or
funny. Or the scene
yeah.
that they did the photo shoot for like the magazine. I was like, this is so unserious. It's like so
So
funny.
the Batman picture was his picture, by the way. That
Real.
picture on her desk, that was
Yes,
his
yes, yes,
picture.
yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, I don't know why Netflix maybe because of copyright, Netflix, like,
Yeah, because I was like, why is
blurred out
everything
that,
blurred
but
out? I was like,
yeah.
what am I looking at?
That was a I think that was a nineties that was, like, the '90s Batman, the guy with, what's his name? The guy who played the Joker in the '90s. George Clooney? I wanna say it was George Clooney's Batman from the
Okay, okay.
'90s.
Okay.
Or was it Kevin? No, I think it was George Clooney. Anyway, it was that Batman from a really long time ago, and I think they
Okay,
blurred it
now
out
I
due to, like,
know.
copyright things.
Okay, because I was like, what am I looking at? Who is it?
So that was, like, a nickname, apparently, that Jahan had from a while back or whatever. The
Thank you
little
for solving that
explanation of that.
mystery because I was like, so many things are blurred out. I don't understand.
Alright, well, if anybody wants to watch Signal, it's on Netflix. That's the only place I know of that it's in the US. It used to be on at least Viki for a while, but I think Netflix got
Mhm.
the rights, so if anybody wants to watch it, it's there. But yeah, anything else you wanna discuss? Anything you have questions about?
Think so. I'm just really excited for season 2. I can't wait.
Same,
I'll be
same.
tuning
I'm
in.
really glad I rewatched this because I definitely forgot about a bunch of I didn't forget, like, any of, like, the cases or,
Mhm.
like, the ending, for example, but I definitely forgot, like, some of the more emotional scenes or the relationship building or, like, the little in between stuff that is good context to know when you are trying to figure out the relationships in season 2.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you so much for having me on for this one. It was so good.
Yeah, thank you for suggesting it. We obviously would not have watched it if you hadn't suggested it.
No, I'm so glad that I had this one under my belt. Like it was
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah. So where can people find you, listen to you? Where do you interact with people?
Yes. So you can listen to the Swoon Diaries podcast on Spotify or Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can give us a follow on Instagram at Swoon Diaries Pod. So send me a message and it's on me and we have Ori and Keela. So it's 3 of us now. And we are starting the second half of season 4 this coming Thursday. So at the time we're recording this,
Ooh,
this coming Thursday. So
yay.
September 4th. So yeah, we'll be back. So we're so excited to be a trio. And so yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I'm excited. I'm
Thank
excited. You
you.
guys were always I mean, you as a solo was also fun to listen to, but, like, you guys were always fun to listen to as well.
Thank you.
All links in the description for her podcast and everything as well, so just FYI. But thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking about this drama with you. I know it's a little long, but that's okay.
No, no, this is so fun.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for listening to this episode, and we will see you again next week. Bye. If you want to continue the conversations about dramas that were started in this episode, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky under the username No Sleep for Dramas. That is No Sleep, the number 4 dramas, just like in the title of the podcast. This podcast is also an expansion of my blog, so you can visit my blog at www.nosleepfordramas.com, the number 4 dramas.com, and find multiple years of blog posts already available at your fingertips. All links are in the description of this episode. Finally,
Please give this podcast a like or a follow wherever you listen to the podcast. Leaving a comment or a review also helps a lot. We love hearing ideas and feedback from all of you. Share the podcast with your friends as well. Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast, and I am your host, Caitlin. I will see you here next time, and I hope you get no sleep chasing the next episode just like me. Good night.